Everyone's saying this whole content thing is oversaturated. AI is going to come eat all the influencers' lunch, and the whole creator economy is slowing down, being depleted. But there's also a projected $80 billion of video ad spend that's going to affect anyone who creates video. And the big players like Netflix, Acast, and Shopify are already taking advantage of it because they know that this future depends both on Hollywood and the digital creators that are fueling the creator economy. Now, this story is really important because this whole podcast, right, is designed for the future of media. And something that I saw was a report from the IAB, which is the Interactive Advertising Bureau. Not only did they project that the digital video ad spending in the US will total $81.9 billion in 2026, but they've also shared that marketers are demanding higher performance and they're accounting on all forms of digital video. So that's powered both by Hollywood and digital content creators in the creator economy. It's no longer like who's going to be next, who's taking it. They're looking at both. And it's important for both creators and leaders of organizations to really pay attention at the merging that's happening right now. And I'll share a few companies that are already taking notice and putting action behind these observations. Okay, so we all remember Netflix announced that they're deep into the podcast world now, right? They've already had experience in podcasting with their own shows, but late last year they gathered a whole bunch of big players in the podcast space and was like, yeah, bring all your video content over here. Everyone said it's ridiculous. Everyone said it was crazy, it was stupid, it was not going to work. And honestly, it's too soon to tell. But here are a couple things that are very important to keep in mind. Netflix's co-CEO Ted Sarandos has already shared that podcasts are expanding their daytime platform usage. You see, those daytime hours is usually when they saw engagement drop, but with podcasts, they're hoping that it picks up those daytime hours, similar to what networks use daytime talk shows for. You know, Ellen, Oprah, all these shows that took place during the daytime, Netflix doesn't really have that. But with podcasting, it helps to fill a gap. And here's what's really important as well. Netflix recently just shared that they've introduced a new discoverability feature on mobile apps. And they're looking at podcasting as a mobile experience, which means that this whole discoverability thing is for all the content. But as they get further into their podcast experiment, that will help to grow podcast reach within their platform. And here's why that's really important. Because Netflix isn't just looking to get more eyeballs on their podcast, they're looking to really increase the value of their ad inventory. Advertisers that are looking to work with Netflix aren't just considering what shows or movies they could be a part of. Podcasts are known to drive buyer decisions, and Netflix is banking on that. And for podcasters that are now considering doing a Netflix deal, it's not just about reach anymore, it's about the monetization potential. Now, we're still very early on. I do believe in Netflix's ability to make this whole work. I'm looking to see if Netflix is going to build a creator partnership portal like YouTube or Meta. Those portals allow brands to contact creators directly. I don't know if they're going that far, but I also know that Spotify was a lot earlier to video podcast and they're experimenting with the YouTube like premium subscription rev share. And I think it's a little too early to really know what's going on with Spotify. And I think the same is with Netflix. So it could follow the same timeline. It might be a few years to really see the impacts of what's happening right now, unless someone decides to blow the whistle and reveal everything on some Substack thing or something. I do believe that Netflix is taking podcasting very seriously, especially when we're considering that $80 billion ad spend that's happening this year alone. Netflix wants that. And Netflix is not the only one looking for some of that digital ad spend. Acast is another company. Acast is a podcast network. They're also known as a place for monetizing podcasts. A podcast that I listen to on the regular, the best one yet, they actually just signed a deal with Acast and it's looking like a mix of both ads for the podcast and in-person experiences. I'll actually have to do a whole episode on that partnership. But the thing that I want to talk about is a headline that just came out about their Q1 profit. A lot of people are kind of like rushing to get into video, especially now that platforms like Apple accept video and Spotify has had video for a while, but they're also starting to embrace a lot of like video first content that's not podcast. So video is really, it's not just a higher demand for it, Companies like Acast are seeing a lot of additional potential. In fact, their CEO, Greg Glende, he specifically stated that video CPMs are higher than audio, but Acast is running campaigns across both formats. Now, for those who don't know, CPMs are basically the rate that you charge based on the number of impressions. So it's like you get 1,000 impressions on a piece of content, you get paid this certain amount of rate. And Acast is able to charge a higher CPM for video than they are for audio. But while a lot of people are debating audio versus video, Acast is not doing that debate. They're providing both experiences, and a lot of their campaigns run both on video and audio formats. So they're basically charging kind of two different rates for one piece of content. And yeah, it's just a smart strategy, and it's become a winning approach for this dual format optimization. It's kind of like a rate arbitrage that a lot of both operators can capture and implement. So if you're not already doing video, and you aren't interested because of a lot of work, just know that it's less about like you have to do it or get left behind. It's more so like if you do it, there's another revenue opportunity there for you. And at that point, you just got to decide what's most important to you. And one of the companies that I believe are looking at both audio and video, if not now, they will be soon, is Shopify. Shopify is heavy into podcasts. The e-commerce giant looks at to podcasts and ads in podcasts as a way to grow their business. Matter of fact, there was a report put out by Podscribe about the top advertisers in podcasting for the month of April, and Shopify was number one. They had ran ads on over 2,000 shows. 48% of those ads were host read ads. They spent $4.9 million. Another company that's on this top 10 list is McDonald's, Lowe's, Wayfair, a company called Kinsey? I haven't heard of that one, but I'm about to because Kinsey is number two. But all of these are in the top 10 lists of April's top podcast advertisers. Now, what's really interesting is I recently went to Black Effect. If you listen to the previous episode, it was with the president of Black Effect, and we talked about the whole Black Effect podcast festival. I saw Shopify had sponsored the marketplace section at the festival where a lot of small businesses were on display as vendors. Knowing that that whole festival was a podcast festival, and also knowing that Shopify is one of the top advertisers, at least in the month of April, that tells me that of those 2,077 shows, a lot of those shows are likely from iHeart property. And it looks like their Shopify is a company that wants to build relationship infrastructure, not just buying ads. This is important to take note of because there are multiple ways to do business. And I believe that when we look at the future of media and as brands and advertisers start to pay more attention to where they're spending, it's important to nurture relationships and earn that trust and show that there are multiple different ways that you could do business with somebody. And one of those ways that will be incredibly valuable in the future is a combination of both a digital experience as well as an in-person experience. And that in-person experience is a premium experience. I really do feel that we're in this kind of risk adverse era, and not every brand is going to take as many risks, but I do believe that brands will double down in areas that they know will work or trust will work really well. And it's important for you to be the person that they trust. And that's an earned feeling. So chasing brand deals and one-off things here and there is great to, get a quick bag or kind of showcase what you can do, but I really think it's going to be important to become strategic partners, create multiple ways to do business and do business long term, not just a short term. A couple of takeaways for what I'm seeing right now is that this $80 video ad boom is really important to take note of, and it shows that it's not about changing content consumption, but really changing the relationship in which you view and distribute and package that content. We're entering into a new era, and there's companies like Netflix that are creating actual infrastructures to blend both Hollywood and the creator economy. This is something we haven't seen fully perfected on a grand scale. I think YouTube was first to the market, but I don't even think they've done the best job at blending this whole ecosystem that merges the two like Netflix has. I think Tubi is another platform that's a little underrated, and maybe they don't get that premium label right now, but that could change in the future as they are heavily invested in the creator economy as well. Changes are happening, and it's important that we take note of this. Thank you for listening, watching, tuning in. My name is Walter Kennedy II, your friendly neighborhood media strategist, and this is the future of media. This podcast is something I created because I spend a lot of time paying attention to what's happening, the trends, the patterns, and the concerns that exist right now so I could be ready for when the future is happening. Because if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. This show is in partnership with Black Pod News, and if there's something you are curious about, I added a link to the description where you could just submit a topic that you're very curious in. Because if you're curious about it, I want to know about it too, and I'll start looking in to see what I can learn about that topic. We're in this together. We all gotta learn from each other. I'll see you next time. Just make sure you like, follow, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.